What is up, and welcome back to Brett's Bets. As you know, this is where we pick winners in a handful of college football matchups each week to prove our expertise. Now, we do use gambling spreads in terminology, but we don't condone gambling, particularly if it's not legal where you live, because we're not built for prison. This is for entertainment only. With that being said, it is my honor to welcome my co-host for Brett's Bets, a man who is so good at picking games that we've had to hide his identity. Bookies, college football experts, everybody is out to get him because he simply knows too much. Now, I can't tell you his name, but he does have several aliases. That's right. He's known as the Spartanburg Spread Beater, a.k.a. the Irmo Earner, a.k.a. the Columbia Coverer, a.k.a. the Florence Forecaster, a.k.a. the Atlanta Assassin with the sniper sight trained right on your bookie's chest. Originally from Landrum, a.k.a. L-Town, but he's not taking any L's this week. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the Expert. Mr. Expert, good to see you. Excited to see what we have going on today. So, how are you doing? What do you got for us?
All right. I am taking a bye week from the theatrics, but I'm not taking a bye week from picking games.
So there's nothing. We're just going to talk about college football.
We're just going to get back to the basics and pick 5 games today. Okay. South Carolina's taking a week off. I'm going to as well. But there are no weeks off for professional gamblers.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wish you'd figured this out before you had me put down a non-refundable deposit on a bear that's also a trapeze artist named Jason. But maybe we can make the money back with these games. So I guess we'll just get into it. Let's go the old Red River Rivalry. Say that 3 times fast. Number 12, Oklahoma. Number 3, Texas. Saturday at noon on ABC. Is Texas back? What year is it? What do you have on this game, Mr. Expert?
So my instinct in this game every year is to take the underdog because I feel like this game is always closer than expected. I feel like the underdog will show up normally. We've seen Texas play. Oklahoma's dominated the series over the last decade, but we've seen instances where Oklahoma was a huge favorite and Texas popped up and kept it close and vice versa. But this year, I think Texas might be actually back. It's taken 15 years at least, but I think they might actually be back. And the bigger thing is we've got Brent Venables versus Steve Sarkisian. I am extremely bearish on Brent Venables as a head coach. He's got a great quarterback in Dylan Gabriel, but I don't know. I really value these coaching matchups, and I think Steve Sarkisian is far, far superior.
I'm a little stunned because that was logical, reasonable, and calm. But, okay, so the pick is Texas then.
The pick is Texas. I was honestly expecting this to be a bigger spread. And, if it was like 10.5 or something like that, I would have absolutely taken Oklahoma. But we're getting Texas at under a touchdown. I think we have to take the better coach at less than a touchdown here.
Huh.
This team's already won big games this year too. They've already went to Bama and won. I mean, they're more tested, they're more talented, better coach. I think we're getting a discount on that pretty small spread there.
All right, then. All right, well, I got to say this new format is working wonders for my blood pressure. So, okay, we'll move on to game number 2. Number 13, Washington State, who I'm pulling for simply because they're feuding with Pat McAfee, heads to Pasadena to take on UCLA at the Rose Bowl, Saturday, 3 o'clock on the Pac-12 network. Mr. Expert, give us your expert analysis.
All right, so I'm taking Washington State plus 3.5. So it's at UCLA. UCLA has been pretty good the last few years, but obviously they finally lost their quarterback DTR, who was there for what 8 years or something.
Forever, yeah.
They haven't. Their record's good this year, but they haven't really proven anything yet. They don't. The offense isn't really clicking. Washington State, on the other hand, they've exceeded all expectations. Just outside of the top 10, I think you said, one of the best quarterbacks in college football. This guy's completely flown under the radar, but it's Cam Ward is his name. He was a huge get out of the transfer portal a couple years ago. He's in his second year at Washington State. Top 5 in QBR in the country, I think. 13 touchdowns, no interceptions, like 1,900 yards, something like that. Just insane numbers. He's going to be the best player on the field, no doubt about it. The one question we had coming into the year about Washington State was their ability to stop a power run game. They've already beat Wisconsin. They were underdog in that game, handled Wisconsin easily. Oregon State, another one that features a kind of a power run game. Usually they handled them. So I think Washington State's here to stay. I think they're maybe a legitimate top 10 team. So getting 3.5 with them, easy bet.
Do you think that their flag belongs on game day still, despite what Pat McAfee says?
I feel like my entire life that thing has been there.
Yeah,
I remember the game days I've went to in Columbia. I think I went to 2 different game days when they had it in Columbia, and it was there both times. It should be there forever. I love it.
You see, if you are tired of Pat McAfee on College Game Day and you want calm, reasonable analysis, you've come to the right place. Let's keep it moving. We're doing great. Game number 3, number 11, Alabama. The Crimson Tide travel to College Station to take on our old friends at Texas A&M, the Aggies, Saturday, 3:30 on CBS. Mr. Expert, what is the pick?
This is probably the toughest pick on the board to me just because it's so weird. Bama opened at minus 3.5, and now they're down to minus 1.5. What is Bama? They've been hard to predict this year. You know, I thought they were going to handle Texas easily. They lost at home. Then I pick Ole Miss plus 7. Bama wins that one easily. So it's hard to say what Bama is. And then Texas A&M, you know, they get smoked by Miami, which we'll see over the next few weeks. Miami might actually be good. So that might not actually be a bad loss. And then Texas A&M comes back, beats Arkansas easily, which we did predict last week. But it's hard to say what they've got. They're breaking in old but new quarterback in Max Johnson, not originally the starter this year. At the end of the day, it's Saban versus a former assistant, and it's Saban versus a pro-style offense, and Saban laying less than a field goal. I think you have to take Bama. They're going to have to lose many more games for me to get off the Bama bandwagon.
Yeah, and we will have our work cut out for us if A&M beats Bama in my comment section. So
yeah.
All right, speaking of big personalities, none of which we have on this show, Deion Sanders takes his Colorado Buffaloes on the road to Arizona State Saturday at 6 p.m. on the Pac-12 network. They looked surprisingly good against Southern Cal last week. What do you think about them taking on the Sun Devils this week?
All right, so this will be the 4th time we've picked a Colorado game. I picked against them all 3 times, lost the first 2, won against Colorado State when they were laying 20-something. I'm finally going to pick Colorado. So having picked them a lot, I've watched them a lot. What I've learned is their offensive line's terrible, but they can still score a shitload of points because they've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country and they've got good skill position players. And their defense can do enough. Again, like the offensive line, they're not deep, but I think they're extremely well coached. I think they're extremely a proud team. Like they fought back against Southern Cal. They were down big in that game and fought back. So those two things, when they play hard every week and they're well coached, they're not going to beat a team like Oregon. They just don't have enough talent left. They're not going to beat a Southern Cal. But if they're playing a team that they're equal or maybe slightly less talented than, I think they're going to win that game every time. And I think after two extremely difficult games, they're back in that category now, playing Arizona State, who's only got one win on the year. Herm Edwards left last year, right? So it's the first year of a new coach. That program's just kind of a disaster. And we're only laying 4 with Colorado. I think this is one of the easiest bets on the board. I think Colorado gets back on track.
That's a good point about them fighting back last week, because they had just had all that hype built up. Then they get blown out against Oregon, and they could have rolled over again against Southern Cal, but they just kept on fighting. A good sign, looks like.
Exactly. Yeah.
Coach Prime has them on the right track.
Yep.
And then our final game, number 10 Notre Dame, fresh off of a big win against Duke, heads to Louisville to take on the Cardinals Saturday, 7:30 on ABC. Mr. Expert, your final calm analysis.
I think this is another easy pick here. Louisville plus the points. So Notre Dame, they played the week 0, if you recall. So, and they haven't had a bye week yet. So this will be their 7th game in a row. The last 2 weeks, the not a barn burner because it was low scoring, but the hard fought slugfest against Ohio State, where they just barely lost, come down to the wire. Last week, Duke, they miraculously win that game at Duke. Extremely hard fought game again. The last drive, Sam Hartman with the 4th and 15 scramble, high drama. So a team that's played 7 weeks in a row, and the last 2 games have been just, laying on the line. One of them's a heartbreaker. One of them's a extremely emotional victory. I can't see them getting up again. And they're going on the road again. Louisville's undefeated. Louisville's played extremely well. They're a good team. There's no way you can pick Notre Dame here, laying that many points after the grueling schedule that they've had. I think Louisville's an easy pick. And look, with Louisville, it's not just a pick against Notre Dame. Louisville's good. Like I said, they're undefeated. First-year coach Brian Brom, one of my favorite coaches in the country. I think that was a hell of a good hire for them. I think they might win the game straight up. I certainly like them with the points.
When you watch Notre Dame, are you a little shocked that they're so conservative on offense since they did bring in Sam Hartman?
Yeah, I guess so. And they may get better in that regard because they had to open it up that last drive because, they went against Duke. And I think they saw that Sam Hartman can run a little bit too. They started letting him run and roll out a little bit and use his legs. So the offense might get better. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, 14 points scored against Duke and then 14 against Ohio State. Yeah, they have been too conservative. But that's probably something they need to figure out after the bye week because, like I said, I think they're just going to be wore out. It's a tough ask to go on the road again here against Louisville.
Probably would help if they kept 11 guys on the field on defense.
Yes.
So be on the lookout for over or under 11 guys on the 10.5 guys on the defense each play. All right. Well, I mean, this was refreshing. I feel great. Welcome to the new and improved Brett's Bets, where this is what we do. We give you just hard-hitting college football analysis along with some picks that you can make. My apologies to Jason, the trapeze bear, but on behalf of the expert and Brett and myself, we'll catch you next week.
Thank you.